episode is bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Can we get Gwen Stefani somewhere? Like, can we interview her? On this episode of Ryan Learned Something, we're gonna be talking about guerrilla marketing, which nowadays people call it experiential marketing or engagement marketing. But we're gonna look at how, you know, small scale graffiti artists do their type of marketing all the way up to big brands doing ginormous events, and we're gonna get weird in a gorilla suit.
Let's talk about guerrilla marketing. The term was coined by a big-time Chicago ad man named J. Conrad Levinson. He wrote a book about it in the 80s. Creative title, Jay. The concept was simple. Do something unexpected to get a lot of people talking about your brand. But guerrilla marketing tactics existed long before someone finally gave them a name and wrote a book about them. There's the Goodyear Blimp, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. More recently, brands have taken guerrilla marketing to the next level, literally. Mini Cooper stuck their cars on the sides of buildings. Domino's delivered pizza by drone. And RedBull live streamed a guy skydiving from the edge of space. Now, guerrilla marketing doesn't have to cost a fortune to work. It could be as cheap as a restaurant flyer stuck under your windshield wiper, or as simple as putting up a few posters. Wild postings are one of the oldest forms of marketing. Check out this watercolor from 1835. Look familiar? And today, non-traditional marketers have an important tool in their hands, the internet. From flash mobs to viral videos to hashtags on social media, technology has allowed the interaction to extend well beyond a single physical location. The latest trend is experiential marketing, where brands create unique experiences and invite people to participate, like TNT's Push for Drama stunt, or Dove's Choose Beautiful campaign, or when The Simpsons took over a dozen 7-Elevens and turned them into Quickie Marts. It just goes to show that brands are continually trying to reinvent the way they can get our attention, earn our devotion, and sell us more stuff. Now where's my Red Bull?
So I got one book on experiential marketing. It's called Experiential Marketing, go figure. And I started reading it and it wasn't my favorite read. But yeah, if you want some information, it's all right. I'm gonna go try and find something on YouTube. I feel like it might be more worth my time.
This video makes it seem like guerrilla marketing is just like the dad joke of the marketing world, just like puns.
So I found some great examples, but I think it's probably best to just go talk to an expert.
Good morning. It is 4:30 in the morning. Going to meet with one of the best experience-based marketing firms in Los Angeles. They're called BeCore. I've got some questions for them. We're also going to go eat my favorite chicken and waffles at Roscoe's. That's number one item on the agenda.
When you come to LA, you have to hit up Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And chicken and waffles is becoming a theme around here.
I'm gonna try it. The hype is definitely real. I looked at a bunch of different street art. I saw Banksy, a ton of Shepherd Fairies. We went to the Paul Smith building, which is like, normally it's just a pink wall, but somebody had tagged it like the night before. It made this like weird juxtaposition that they were having to repaint over the graffiti, which is funny because that's basically what their wall is to begin with, is this art piece. Then we went to BeCore. BeCore is a really rad company. They do a ton of big, large scale and small scale experience-based marketing projects.
We are BeCore Incorporated. We're an experiential marketing agency here in Los Angeles, California. We specialize in creating an experience and an interchange that helps people appreciate that brand, product, or service.
Talk about graffiti artists and how, I mean, they were kind of where you guys came out of, right? Experience marketing kind of started with these street team guerrilla marketing type things.
That's as guerrilla as it gets, for sure, although it's becoming more and more acceptable. I like the way Banksy put it. You know, people look at him as if he's a criminal because he puts his art up in places that nobody asked him to be. His response is, marketers are shoving their message at me. They're inserting their message everywhere I go. I didn't ask for that. I didn't get approval to have your message pasted on every square inch where I go. Why is it different from what I'm doing? The term guerrilla marketing kind of arose out of a non-traditional approach to kind of insert yourself into the conversation.
What we do is probably the opposite of guerrilla. I think we're trying to create a compelling environment that spontaneous moments can happen. And it could be anything from a pop-up shop or a mobile tour or a skate park on a barge or a PR stunt.
It's non-traditional still what we do. So it's not just speaking at someone, but we're speaking with them. But I think the biggest challenge comes to, you can see a picture of a blueberry pie and I can tell you how delicious it is, encourage you to try it and hope that you will and tell your friends. Or I can slice the pie up and give you a piece and hand it out. I'm going to walk away knowing if I want this or not because of that.
When experiential is authentic, it's enjoyable because what you're doing is you're providing a service that the people want.
Most consumers are really easily delighted. If it's a brand that they really love and they feel like that brand gets them, it doesn't always have to be big as long as it's meaningful.
3 simple things that you should focus on. Who do you want to talk to? Where are you going to find that person? What's a great way to demonstrate what it is you're doing?
We take all of the research and the strategy, and then we do a big brainstorm. And so that's where we start getting into the creative ideas and figuring out what we want to do. Everything in the entire world is a beginning of a brainstorm for an experience. There's always a period when we're ideating where we let ourselves get really crazy. And I think that's the really fun part, is to be like, oh my God, that's a crazy idea, and just go as far as we can.
So let's have, what's the best solution first? Let's just start. What's the best solution for this issue or this problem, this challenge? We start reverse engineering. We'll try and find a way to make it work.
Because what we're doing is so non-traditional, it hasn't been done before. And so that's really the trick of how do we show this to the client, something that's never been done before and never been made, in a way where they can imagine it and see it coming to life and understand what that experience is going to be with people, so that they can dream with us what the possibility of what we're actually going to build will be.
How do you guys quantify, you know, results, whether that's success or failure, or how do you figure out when something's done well?
What are the goals? What's the definition of success? Where are we going? What's our demographic? A number of qualifiers. We decide what that is.
I think in the best situation, an experiential campaign includes the digital team. How do we quantify that emotional connection that then leads to the digital? Because that is where those hard numbers come in.
5 years ago, you weren't talking about social extensions and digital extensions, and it was a lot harder to measure how successful experiential was.
I see the future of experiential marketing hands down as the future of marketing. I don't think that social will stand alone. I don't think traditional will stand alone. I think it's all going to come under an umbrella where all of these pieces are talking to each other, because that's the only way where you're telling this story that all of the pieces make sense and talk to each other together, and then you're having this authentic conversation with the public. And that's where you get a really, really powerful campaign that lasts with people and really changes how they feel about you as a brand.
I put on a freaking gorilla suit and I went and gave out free bananas. Let me explain a little more. To test some of what I learned at BeCore, I have an experiment. I want to do something that's experiential and will also delight people. So I'm going to put on a gorilla suit and hand out free bananas. That's more what I'm doing. Not, that was a bad explanation. what we call passion, you know? I put my sweat into this. I'm done.
People don't want to take your free stuff because they're like, is this a gimmick? What's in it for, like, what do I have to do for it? And I was just giving out free bananas. But what was funny was I went to one corner and there were these girls and a guy handing out cards for, I don't know, they were selling something and they were handing out postcards. No one was taking the postcards, but I gave out a ton of bananas on the corner. And I think it's two reasons, I think, because one, it's goofy as crap because I was in a gorilla suit, and two, because being in a gorilla suit, there didn't have to be a full-blown interaction. That it was just kind of assumed like, oh, I don't have to talk to you, I can just take your banana. So it kind of eliminated the awkwardness and kind of just opened, I think it opened up people's bubble a little more. So the one thing I would change about the gorilla suit was I just wanted to experiment and see if people would take the bananas, but the one thing I would add is maybe a call to action or some way of letting them know what we were doing. The sign did say Ryan learned something, so maybe they'll go Google it, but. So this has been a crazy episode. I flew to Los Angeles, saw a bunch of cool street art. I talked to BeCore, which is an amazing agency who does this experience-based marketing. And then I came back and I put on a freaking gorilla costume and gave out free bananas. And it's just been a crazy cool experience, and I've actually learned a lot. So here's my takeaways. So number one, it can scale. You can start small and go as big as you want, but even if you have like $10, you can figure something out. And that's the coolest part about experience or guerrilla marketing. Like, I'm not going to tell you to do anything illegal, but you could probably do some illegal things. That's probably okay. Shepard Fairey did it. He's been arrested. He's core. You think Banksy gives a crap? Banksy don't give a crap. Although I think that Banksy is Mr. Brainwash. Huh? So number two, it's all about the relationship. You're wanting to create an emotional connection with whoever you're trying to connect with. Experience-based marketing, like that's like the core of it, right? You want to go and do these things that are on your brand, whether that's using artwork or you're trying to break the mundane of their day while they're walking on the street and get them to remember who you are. And that's the basis of guerrilla or experience marketing. So number three, use technology, but don't use it as like a crutch. Social media and things like that are a multiplier. So you have to have the main event to multiply that message. So you got to go out and do something really cool, and you can use technology, and BeCore talked about even like RFID and things like that, so you can measure the impressions there, but don't worry so much about the back end of like, what are we getting out of it? Because it's all about that actual experience and the relationship you built there, and then use technology as much as you can within that, but don't use it as like the sole purpose of doing what you're doing.
All right, here's what I spent this episode. I bought a gorilla suit on Amazon for $71, which is cheap enough that I think everyone should go pick one up. I got the book Experiential Marketing for $18. The trip to LA, including flights and Roscoe's, was $503. Total spent $592. That leaves me with $11,361 of the $15,000 I started with.
Let's have a moment of silence for Harambe. On the next episode of Ryan Learned Something, I learned how to tell a story. Shh.